What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a special episode of Littleroot Lessons. Today I have the winner of the PokePod Cup on with me. Everyone say hello to Laz. What's going on, man?
Hey, nice to meet you, Carter.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Good to be here.
So, you ended up winning the whole tournament, and I know, from my understanding, you weren't officially affiliated with PokeSports, but you had heard of them, and so you had signed in and represented them through the whole tournament. So, what do you think? What do you think of the whole tournament?
It was a great experience. I didn't expect to be on such a good level. I mean, with players, with teams, the sets. I mean, best of threes and stuff. I heard this tournament from a friend, and I joined. So I had in mind that it would be a small Discord tournament and stuff, and then I realized that there were 3 big communities behind and all of this stuff.
When we initially set up the collaboration between PokeSports and the ATX group, I did not envision the amount of signups that we had for the actual tournament. We had ended up having 90 players for it, and I expected the first one to have maybe like 30. Like, if we hit 30, that was a good number. So to come out and have 90 players for the first one was just astronomical.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's unusual to have so many players in such a new start.
Oh, for sure. So let's just jump right into this team that you ended up playing to your first place victory. So Dragonite, Sylveon, Heatran, Suicune, Kartana, and Tapu Koko. Where did we start with the team building process for all this?
I mean, I wanted to create a team with Dragonite because it was my favorite, and in the previous VDC formats, it wasn't viable, I think, because and I think Dynamax made it a very decent choice.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my first question. And, is how much of an impact does Dynamax have for Dragonite?
Yeah, huge, I think, because it has a big advantage of being natural bulky.
Yeah, and it's very bulky to start out.
Yeah, you can invest on speed and what kind you want to outspeed and stuff. What hits you want to survive, and it has stab airstream, which is huge in this format.
Yeah, I know. In initial team building, like when Series 7 was first announced, and we had all the returning Mons and everything. Something that Carl and I were really excited about was having Inner Focus Dragonite paired with Comfey and being just naturally bulky and just having the weakness policy to capitalize on Dragonite's insane 134 attack and just going overboard and just having insane abilities to pick up speed boost with max airstream and just snowball very quickly. So we were pairing it with Comfey for the Draining Kiss proccing with the weakness policy. What made you end up playing with Sylveon instead?
Yeah, good question. I think Comfey is more reliable in general because it bypasses the fake outs and stuff. The follow me, which it's the huge one. But I tested a little bit, and it didn't match my playstyle much because everybody knows how to counter Comfey and stuff. So I tested Sylveon, and I gave it a shot because redirection in this stage of the format wasn't so popular.
Yeah, that's very true.
I wanted to test it for quick attack, and being a hard hitter with hyper voice besides Dragonite to boost its speed with airstream and stuff, and doing some respectable damage.
So let's talk about the rest of the team then. You know, we have this Suicune, Tapu Koko, Kartana, you know, and of course Heatran as well. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about?
I even start with Heatran because it was the third pick on my team, fulfilling the Dragon Fairy Steel Core.
Okay.
It was very good synergy between them. And Heatran, it was good to hit all the steel types in the format and whatever bothers dragon and flying type. Shuka Berry was the only option because it was too weak to ground.
Okay.
And it's pretty good to both Tailwind mode, which I'm gonna talk about with Suicune, and it's good with Tricorn as well, because the team, it's when you look at it, it doesn't feel much safe with Tricorn mode playing against.
Mm-hmm.
And the moves and stuff I done this when I completed the 6 months first, and then because I use Ancient Power, which came clutch with some games.
Yeah, that is not something we have seen on Heatran basically ever, to my knowledge. Granted, I haven't played forever, but you know, I do know that Heatran has been a very dominant Pokemon in the history. So, what made you lock in Ancient Power? Just the extra coverage?
Yeah, I will explain it. I tested first Flash Cannon.
Okay.
It's, sometimes I was Dynamax Heatran and Steel Spike was good with ground. But then the meta wasn't so good for Heatran to use Steel Spike against most of the teams. So I changed it with some filler. I don't remember well. I think Taunt was the second one, which is very good to shut down stuff like Dusclops and stuff. But then some teams with Rotom Heat was troubling me, because when Dragonite goes down or I don't have much to do with Suicune, it pretty much does a lot of damage to my team. And some of the first things when Rotom Heat things against the Heatran is to click Nasty Plot because it's so free.
For sure. Like, yeah, I mean...
Then, I 2-hit KO'd it with Ancient Power, or I weaken it 50% of its health, and it thinks if it's the right choice to Dynamax it or so.
Now, did the Omni boost from Ancient Power ever become relevant? Was it ever just like, I won because this happened?
I think it was a game in top 8 or something that the boost of Ancient Power and the speed had outspeeded Nihilego. I don't remember which match was it, but it secured me the victory in game 2.
That's awesome. Like I said, Ancient Power is not a move that we see a ton of. So for it to just have that, I think it's 10% chance to have that Omni boost across the board. It can make a difference if it triggers.
Yeah, and I have a lot of speed on Heatran, so it outspeeds the base 100, and I think
Man, that's awesome.
Useful, yeah.
I didn't realize, just how much a +1, boost to your speed could actually make a difference on a Pokemon like Heatran, because base 77 speed's not one that you would envision being fast, but being able to just get that +1 makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Heatran has that medium speed where you can when you boosted with airstream and stuff, I set it like that. +1 to outspeed base 100s and go from there. Because on Tailwind you outspeed stuff like Dragapulse and very fast things.
For sure.
So I set it like that. And it was very useful, and for some reason I thought that Heatran was my weakest link in the team, but it helped me a lot in best of 3 games.
So, rounding out so we have the Dragon Fairy Steel Core. To round out that, we also have the Fire Water Grass Core with Heatran, Suicune, and Kartana. What do you want to talk about there?
I think that I said it like that because I wanted a solid backbone to, to switch into things and stuff. Mm-hmm. And Fire Water Grass are one of the best cores in the game every time. So I put Suicune there for the reason I didn't go Finny to, for Dragon to have Mr. Terrain stuff. So I put Suicune to give me a Tailwind option for some Max Guard from Dragonite and Tailwind turn on to outspeed Dragapulse and stuff. And Snarl spam, it was inner focus, so it gave me options to not fear fake outs and set Tailwind's guarantee. And it was very good in general.
I've been playing a lot with Entei here lately, and the number of times that people just forget what inner focus does and goes for a fake out into it, I'm just like,
exactly.
Yeah. Just fire off my Will-O-Wisp or whatever else, and just okay, thanks.
It also intimidates for Entei works.
Very. Perfectly. It's a big part of why I've been such a fan of Entei.
People spam chains switching Incineroar for Intimidate, and then they realize, oh boy, no.
You're like, yep, thanks. I appreciate that free switch in.
I think that Inner Focus Core, which have Dragonite too, proved to be very strong.
Yeah,
with teams such as Fake Out spams, Incineroar, Parting Shot, Rillaboom in the back, Fake Out, Rillaboom, and then Incineroar coming in the field again, and recycling Fake Outs and stuff. I found it very useful and strong to not fear this stuff and just hit hard.
Yeah, I mean, Intimidate's such a big ability right now between Incineroar, Landorus. Those are the 2 big ones, and then you have your fake outs from Rillaboom and Incineroar, like you said. So just being completely immune to all that, especially on Pokemon that are, for Dragonite to be immune to the Intimidate is huge, and then for Suicune to be immune to the fake out is also a big deal that not enough people realize, in my opinion.
Exactly, as you said.
So what about this Kartana and this Koko? What are we doing with them?
I placed Kartana just for the grass type to deal with Dynamax Finny and stuff. But Dragonite was winning Dynamax Finnies anyways in 1v1 with weakness policy, but I wanted a solid choice in the back to deal with water types in general that was troubling my Heatran and Dragonite as well. Might not have Dynamaxed it or something. And Kartana is very good for having that speed, maybe mid-game or late game that Urshifu for endgame might be coming to play, and outspeeding this with some cheap damage, removing its shots and stuff. I didn't want Rillaboom to be extra slow. Dragonite, Sylvan, Heatran, Suicune are naturally slow, besides having speed control and stuff, but I want something solid to come in the back and support the team with speed.
Yeah,
With,
that's something we see a lot right now in the format of like late game Urshifu coming in, just cleaning up, and that it basically does a lot of what Kartana does, where you're reliant on being one of the fastest things on the field and just being able to consistently one-shot things to pick up KOs.
Yeah, exactly. I used Assault Vest Kartana, which came clutch with matchups such as Nail Lego and the Thunderous Urshifu Nail Lego cores that were kind of popular. I faced it in the semis or top 8, I don't remember exactly. It came clutch because it leaves the hits from Nail Lego and threats with one-hit KO, and also pressures the Clefairy with Steel Spike or even Smart Strike. It was a useful item. I didn't Dynamax it. I don't remember Dynamaxing it at all, but it was great to have it there.
Yeah, speaking of Dynamax, I'm assuming Dragonite is the primary target for Dynamaxing, but notably, like Heatran Kartana makes a very good one, very good target for it, and this Koko that you have being super offensive, holding Life Orb and just, I believe it's max speed, max special attack. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. I have some slight bulk.
Okay.
But I was too lazy to make it to 52 to 52 because I was transferring. I transferred it from previous game, and I thought, why not having some slight bulk, and it was doing the calcs I wanted anyway. So it was something like 28 HP and 4 defenses, something like that.
Just enough to say there's a little bit of bulk on it.
Yeah.
See, I've been I don't play currently. I'm not playing with the offensive version of Koko. I've been playing with screens, just like screens, Electro Web, just slowing the game down as much as possible and stalling out your opponent's Dynamax and stuff like that. But a lot of people anticipate, when they see Tapu Koko and they bring it in, that's what they anticipate is this hyper-offensive major threat that Koko presents.
Yeah, it was amazing with Life Orb.
Oh, for sure.
Volt Switch with high speed and bring something to check the threat and stuff. Having it late game, it was the biggest, the most... solid cleaner I had, because I was outspeeding almost everything.
And that's one of the perks of base 130 speed is that there's very few things that can outspeed that naturally. Granted, Tailwind's very popular right now. Like Eliki having access to Electro Web, being able to slow you down, having the dynamic speeds makes a difference, but Koko doesn't really care when it can just come in late game. After the threats have been neutralized of the speed control threats, it makes a big difference just to say, okay, you can't outspeed this, how are you dealing with this?
Exactly, yeah. I chose Tapu Koko for the terrain suites as well, because I wanted to get rid of misty terrain sometimes, be able to threat something with max Whirlwind if it was grounded and stuff.
True.
It was kind of useful, and it was the perfect link for 6 slot, because it was doing such work to, like I said, to even play with some bulky waters like Lapras. In the finals with Xeno, it was very useful to lead with it and Dynamax it and pick up a KO on Lapras immediately.
Just, put on an immense amount of pressure immediately.
Yeah. Because Lapras Incinerate is very common, so Kartana can deal such huge damage to Lapras as well.
Yeah, between Kartana and Coco, Lapras really doesn't seem like a problem here. So, moving forward, is there anything on the team that, now that you've played with it a little more and had a little more best of 3 experience with it, is there anything on the team that you would actually change?
I mean, I've tried a different version with Regieleki over Tabu Koko in the slot to have it as a fast mon to set up screens for Dragonite and stuff. But I think I enjoy more the Tabu Koko from the fact that it can clean some teams with Dazzle Gleam and stuff.
Yeah, having that fairy coverage and more importantly, that fairy typing can be very
double
important.
Fairies with such a high Urshifu usage is very useful. And even with Sylvan, I was dealing so much damage, and it was very underrated mon to have for my opponents. I mean, I Dynamaxed it very many times throughout this tournament to capitalize on the being there for quick attack only and stuff, but I was holding Pixie Plate to deal some huge damage, especially with a Max Strike.
I played a lot with Sylveon very early on in like Series 1 and Series 2. Typically, I played with like Throat Spray just so you can put on that much more pressure with your Hyper Voices, but I found that Pixie Plate is probably the best item for it. If you're wanting to be offensive. Just because it allows you to, like you said, put out that much more extra damage on top of everything else. Obviously, you have items like Babiri Berry that makes it where you can actually live a few more hits, but for the most part, Sylveon just wants to come out and dish out as much damage as it can and pick up a couple KOs if it can, and if not, it did its job by chipping away at your opponent.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with Pixie Plate, you can 2-hit KO stuff like Urshifu and stuff. It was insane damage with even Quick Attack being modest nature.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, it is a mon that I don't think gets enough respect in the current format because there are a lot more fairies in the format between, specifically like Tapu Fini is one that sees a ton of play. Historically, things like Togekiss, like these are all fairies that really just had better utility to them, whereas Sylveon is just really offensive when it needs to be. Like you said, that Pixie Plate just adds so much extra damage when it needs it.
It had a downside with dealing more damage to Dragonite, but I think it was worth it to Hyper Voice dealing so much damage to opponents.
So, with this, these 6, what do you not want to see on the opponent's side? In Team Preview, like, what Pokemon are just, like, major problems for this team?
I think Glacier was the huge one. Glacier's Trick Room, I didn't want to see that at all, but for some reason I thought that I would have lost in some Trick Room Glacier that I was paired up with early Top Cut. I don't remember which opponent was it. But I think Metagross teams and Glacier teams was the most threatening.
Metagross I could see putting on a ton of pressure, but I know when Carl was working on Dragonite, he had very similar cores. Dragonite, he had the Heatran, Suicune. I believe he ended on Rillaboom instead of Kartana, but very similar ideas. But like you said, Kartana is just being so much faster, it gets to put on that much more pressure. I know he was really satisfied with Heatran just to be able to secure the Metagross matchup, where if you end up Dynamaxing your Heatran, you can take a Max Quake thanks to Shuka Berry and then turn around and one-shot them back.
Yeah. It sometimes it's very tricky because of the weakness policy and the trick room.
True.
But with some scenarios, it's very good. I think I don't think that I did this to the tournament, but when I was testing, I did a max flare play with Dragonite and just a plain heat wave with hit run, and I took it KO the Metagross Dynamaxed.
Yeah.
And I was very pleased with that. Yeah, it wasn't such a big threat.
Yeah,
but
that's real sweet. Being able to just set that sun to make it where your Heatran does that much more damage can really add up really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem was the trick room. When my team was inside trick room and the weakness policy, for example, Dusclops, a Bulldoze and weakness policy or something like Glacier, that Heatran Shukaberry doesn't leave a +2.
That's rough.
Yeah.
So what is your game plan in that kind of scenario where you see Dusclops Glastrier in team preview? What do you do?
I mean, it was manageable. I played something like wasting a couple of turns if the lead is passive. I waste one turn for sure in the trick room, just protecting and stuff. Leading Heatran, playing with Heatran, Suicune, and Kartana. So maybe Dynamax Kartana to throw off a Steel Spike early to have extra defense bulk. And Suicune can stall easily 3 turns of Trick Room and eating hits from Glacier or Metagross.
Okay.
So generally my plan was that. I remember I played this Glacier Trick Room team and I Dynamaxed Sylvan. I don't know how it went, but I ended up winning that game. And yeah, it was weird because Sylvan did the job I wanted there. So
yeah, not something that is
you can pick. After when Trick Room ends, it's easy to not let it set another one. So I think that's the good scenario when you can leave the Trick Room turns and then you can play for end game.
So, is there anything else that you want to touch on? Any like specific matches that really stuck out with you?
Let me see some stuff. The top cut teams to remember which games were tricky. I played this Atomic Penguin. I don't remember his name. He had the Glacier team and the Comfy and some really good Gyarados.
Yeah, that was that was one of our guys who they brought Gyarachu. There was a bunch of them that ended up bringing Gyarados Raichu, and just people weren't expecting it because it's not the best in this current format. But you know, when you can catch people off guard with off meta things, it can snowball. But
yeah, definitely, Lightning Rod Gyarados is very solid anytime in the meta.
Oh, for sure. The big thing about Gyarados right now is Regieleki is kind of a problem, but that's why you have Raichu too. So
yeah, it was very popular back then. It was I think much higher in the usage than now. When we started the tournament.
Yeah.
And I believe that this was the moment that I Dynamaxed Sylveon. Definitely in game 2 that he was playing. My biggest fear was Dragonball being weakness policy with Comfy, and the fact that I wasn't multi-skill Dragonite, I wouldn't be able to leave that hit.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that Suicune and maybe Max Guard Dragonite and Tailwind might be good, but then, it's tricky to being +2 Dragapult against you and stuff. So I played it with Dynamax Sylveon to counter that and to make him fear the Sylveon. So he got me really good in first game. He led Dragapult, Comfy, and switched immediately Dragapult and set up the Trick Room. So I hit Glacier with Max Strike coming in. And then the huge set that I was worrying about being Glacier Assault Vest. That Comfy was healing, Flora healing, healing Glacier back. So I stuck there and wasn't able to deal much damage back. But I guess I played something similar game 2, but ended up winning because I targeted the Comfy immediately.
Just went for the same game plan and was able to capitalize on it.
Sylveon and Max Strike it, and I think I had Tapu Koko doing Dazzling Gleam or Volt Switch, I don't remember which of the two. So I guarantee the speed control not set up the Trick Room, and I ended up winning the game 2. And the game 3, he brought the Gyarados Raichu lead. And I didn't remember. I think I played exactly the same.
Just immediately put on the pressure on the Gyarados and not let it do its thing.
Yeah.
That's one way that Gyarados can suffer, is just putting on a ton of pressure early on it, and Raichu has a lot of problems with not doing a lot on its own, but definitely allowing for your partner Pokemon to enable its thing. So once the partner is gone, Raichu kind of just sits there.
Yeah, it's very passive, but it has the utility of the rod and maybe Nuzzle, which I was fearing about.
I can't remember if Penguin ended up playing Nuzzle on his. Him and I did a lot of team building on that and putting together the final pieces of everything. Just I know his Comfey set. Him and I ended up playing the exact same Comfey. Granted, mine was paired with Moltres. His was paired with Gyarados, Raichu things. But I can't remember if he ended up playing Moltres as well. Let me.
Yeah.
I have that actually pulled up. I can tell you real quick. Let's see. Nope. He was playing Dragapult. That's right. Dragapult and Comfey. So, I don't think I have a whole lot of anything else to ask today, man. Anything you want to touch on the way out?
No, I pretty much said most of what I wanted. So that was the team, and I think I had some favorable or some playable matchups with Dragonite to deal his stuff, and ended up winning some of the top cut games more easily because of that. I mean, I didn't face such threats that I mentioned you before.
Yeah, that's when we were playing with Dragonite, Carl and myself, one of the big problems that we came across was there was just so much incidental ice coverage in the format, because you have things like Landorus and Garchomp and these other dragon types and all these flying mons with Moltres running around, that Dragonite kind of just falls in this awkward position where it can't capitalize on everything it wants to do because the format's just not allowing it to do what it wants. So I'm really glad to see someone come out with one of my favorite Pokemon and really capitalize on it and end up winning the whole event. So
Yeah, I mean, at some point I couldn't believe that I won with Dragonite, but it was great feel to win with such team.
for sure. Where can people find you on the internet, man? Twitter, Twitch, anything like that?
I'm being on Twitter. I have Laz0044 from Discord, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being in all the three of your teams. I mean the Discord servers. So I'm being around there.
And anyone you want to shout out, for team building processes or anything like that?
I mean, I didn't test the team with Summer to give some, shout-outs or stuff, so it's pretty much it. It was the tournament that I entered the tournament to test it out in best of 3, so...
Well, I think we can agree that it definitely was able to put forth a little work for you, so...
Yeah.
All right, man. I think that's going to do it for me today then. So I greatly appreciate you, spending some time with me and allowing me to get this done. And I greatly appreciate everyone watching. And we'll be back later in the week with some more stuff. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a good one. Peace.